on the Adriatic coast of Italy under what is soon to be a spectacular setting sun. We welcome you back to Misano Circuit, or Misano Marco Simoncelli World Circuit here in the north of Italy. This is race 2, round 2 of the Italian F4 Championship powered by Abarth. My name is Ian Silvestre and delighted to be bringing you English commentary once again for the most competitive junior motor racing series in the world. There is the grid. We will go through it for you in just a moment.
An amazing podium this morning. What's the aim for this afternoon starting from pole?
Yeah, focus is getting a good start, and then yeah, just controlling the race from there really. Yeah, I obviously had a good result this morning. Yeah, looking to build on it. The pace was good, so yeah, let's go for a good one.
Thank you. Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
That was the voice of Ollie Bierman, the pole sitter, car 87 for the Van Amersfoort racing team. He did start on pole position, you may recall, at the first round of the championship at Paul Ricard, but then did stall. Let's hope for the English driver's sake he does not repeat what happened 3 weeks ago in the south of France. The pole sitter for the Van Amersfoort racing team to the right of your screen, alongside Leonardo Fornaroli. This is Ollie, car 87, for the team who took the title in 2019 with the Norwegian Red Bull Junior, Dennis Hauger, starting alongside Leonardo Fornaroli.
Yeah, I learned from my mistake in race 1, and then we go on from here.
Ragazzi, non posso ripartire coi piloti.
Leonardo Fornaroli on your screen took his first ever victory in the championship this afternoon. Winning race 1 here at Misano, starts out of grid 2. Ollie Bierman, the pole sitter. 29 cars on the grid, minus the Mexican Santiago Ramos. That is Sebastian Montoya, as the 1.4 litre turbocharged Abarth engines fire into life. Sebastian with a brilliant recovery drive earlier on this afternoon in race 1. Stalled off the start, as did his teammates, plural, Kirill Smal and Konrad Larsen, as the 30-second board goes up. We take a look at the grid for you. Ollie Bierman starting out of pole's position alongside Leonardo Fornaroli, Montoya and Kirill Smal for the Prema Power Team, Semi Megotunov and Victor Bernier, the RSGP drivers. Then it's Hamda and Lorenzo Petraeze out of grid 8. 9th on the grid, Nico Baptiste, the Colombian. Nikita Bedrin, P5, with a fine drive earlier today in race 1. Kasper Stuka, Leonardo Bizzotto, San Johan, Ben Svalint, Konrad Larsen and Meyer starts out of grid 16 for Team Iron Lynx, or the Iron Dames. Then it's Jonas Reed. Brilliant drive from Jonas to come home in 4th place in race 1. Samir Ben, Eric Zuniga, Josh Dufek, Josh Dirksen, Piotr Wisnicki, Levente Revesh and Pedro Perino from Mozambique in southern Africa. Aaron Retshepi, Marcus Aman, Pietro Armani, Jorge Garciache, the Mexican, and the local boy from nearby, the town of Católica. He can ride his bike to the circuit, as he did when he was a young boy, to watch all sorts of racing here at the Misano World Circuit. That is, of course, Francesco Braschi for the Jensen Motorsport team. The sun is about to set. One of the corners, turn 10, in fact, is actually named Tramonto, which literally translates into sunset. We've had some spectacular images posted to Insta, FaceTube, whichever social media network you follow us on. Incidentally, if you are on Insta, follow us on F4 Championship, or F4 Italian Championship, I should say, and the same on Facebook. This is the Misano World Circuit, constructed back in the early 1970s. The first race, 1972. Next year is the 50th anniversary of this circuit that is known the world over, more so for motorcycle racing. However, has hosted all sorts of car racing events, DTM, Formula 2 in the past, of course Formula 3, FIA World GT, and Formula 3000 back in the day. Clivio Piccione actually with the outright race lap record, a 125.380 in a Lola B250, those magnificent F3000 cars. That was, what, 13 years ago in the Euro Formula 3000 series. DTM, Robin Freins in an Audi RS5 with a 127.291. Formula 4, they're lapping in around about, well, the 134-second bracket, which is approximately similar to World Superbikes. I know that's not a fair comparison, But just to put it in perspective, the World Superbike Championship racing here in front of those grandstands in the background, which will be filled with spectators, which is a great indication that the nightmare is finally ending. There is Lorenzo Petraeze, the second generation racer from Padova in the north of Italy. His father, the 1974 World Kart Racing champion, Riccardo, here at the circuit, and of course took multiple Grand Prix wins in Formula One back in the 1980s and 90s, most notably for the Williams team. Lorenzo starting out of grid 8 alongside Hamda, who put in a brilliant drive to come home in third place. Earlier today, the Jensen Motorsport team, Jamie the Kiwi on the left of your screen, about to watch his young chargers race 2 of round 2, the Italian F4 Championship. Pietro Armani pulls into position. Jorge Garciace. And there is the local boy, Francesco Braschi. The green flag at the back of the grid. Welcome to Misano. Race 2, round 2 for the second time this weekend. We race. Nice start from Ollie Bierman for Neroli. Slots in behind the pole sitter. A clean start down into turn 1. Sebastian Montoya goes P3, just ahead of the two RA's GP drivers, Victor and Sami, Bernier and Megatonev. The BWT Mulka Motorsport team drivers going through. There's Levent Tiravesh already trying to make up a few places. Is the Hungarian for AKM Motorsport. A clean start as Ollie Bierman. No mistake for the English driver who did stall 3 weeks ago from pole position of Paul Ricard. But he's got away nicely. You see those sausage curbs. We'll speak about those through the race. Already causing havoc on the opening lap of the race as Levent Tiravesh is about to be passed. In fact, he has been, by Leonardo Bizzotto. Leonardo finishing in P9. There is the order at the bottom of your screen. Lorenzo down the inside, tries to take him back, and does so. Benz Valent, a forgettable race earlier today, coming together with Kirill Smal. Benz Valent was in position 5, was the only DNF in a race that stayed green for the entire duration of 30 minutes plus 1 lap. Benz Valent up into P12 as the field comes storming down the back straight. Out of Tramonto, running off the circuit is Hamda. She's in the gravel. Oh no, what a disaster after that brilliant drive earlier this afternoon. Lap 1, race 2. Hamda third on the podium earlier today. In race 2, she's out. What a disaster for Hamda Alkabasi. Does not even complete the first lap. The car just went straight ahead. She understeered into the gravel, off the road, into the wall. Hamda is out. What a deflation for Hamda Alkabasi as Conrad Larsen makes contact and loses some bodywork with one of the Van Amersfoort Racing drivers. Coming together with Hans Sanyu, who's also suffered damage, and Conrad Larsen looks as though he's got a puncher as well. Levent Tiravesh down in pit lane. A new front wing for the Hungarian team, or the Hungarian driver for the AKM Motorsport team. So we had a clean start the first few corners, and then all hell has broken loose. Hamda is out. San Yuhan, Conrad Larsen making contact. Levent Tiravesh down in pit lane as Ollie Bierman continues to lead the way. And the Prema Power team, they started with 4, they're down to 2. Hamda is out. Conrad, the Dane, is also out as well. Hugely disappointing for Conrad Larsen. Wow, the second lap of the race, and the team that dominated the 2020 championship with Gabriele Mini have lost 50% of their drivers. This is Hamda going straight ahead. She was off the circuit, the car understeered, and just lightly touches the wall. She was in the gravel trap did its job. Conrad Larsen, Hans Sanyu coming together. Benz Valent just going through the wing under the Chinese driver's car. Loses the bodywork. Conrad Larsen has retired as well. And Levent Tiravesh, while that was all happening, he's into pit lane for a new front wing. Conrad in the gravel. His teammate Hamda in the gravel as well, which has been pushed, thrown back onto the circuit. You can get a shot of it there. Kirill Smal, interestingly, he has avoided the carnage this time. Fastest qualifier for race 1. There is the Russian in P6. As Fornaroli locks up the front left down into Guercia, turn 8. In second place behind Ollie Bierman. So the tables have turned from race 1 earlier this afternoon when Leonardo headed home, Ollie, for his first victory in the Italian F4 Championship. There is Hans Anu down in pit lane, the Van Amersfoort Racing Team. 5 cars here this weekend. Car 18 in pit lane, a new front wing going on. Hans Anu will be able to rejoin, but he'll be down in 27th place, praying for a safety car to try and get back behind the leaders. He has not dropped a lap yet. He'll have to hurry though. There's Lorenzo. Just ahead of Bizzotto. Petraeze in P8, Bizzotto 9, then it's Bedrin. Berlin, Stuka, Eric Zaniga. Sebastian across the line, car 6, P3. Tries to get the toe from Leo Fornaroli. Ollie Bierman is skipping away. The gap is 0.7 of a second. Megotunev, Bernier going through. Nico Baptiste, what about the Colombian? The 100% Colombian, with all due respect to Sebastian, who's in P3, but he is an American-born Colombian. Nico Baptiste, the sole entrant for Gabriele Rose's cramp competition team here this weekend in this 29-car field. Nico Baptiste is in P7, Petraeze right behind him for AKM Motorsport. Bernier and Megotunev, they go side by side down into turn 8. The 2 French drivers, the French team. As Megotunev runs off the road, but he's on the inside. Watch Kirill Small, who will try and split the French drivers. Up the inside goes Kirill, tries to get the drive all over the back of them. As we go just a little bit further back in the field, one of the BW team, Mulka Motorsport team drivers just running off the circuit ever so slightly. As we go back to this fight between Kirill Small, Megotunev and Bernier. The ruthless Russian Kirill Small splits them. He's gone by. Megotunev now hones in on the back of the 2018 World Kart Racing Champion, Victor Bernier. In car 55, Small up the inside into turn 15. There is no space. There's the... Take that back. There is the... I'll be careful with my choice of words. There are those oh so eloquently placed sausage curbs on the outside of turn 15, so he cannot run off the circuit. Okay, I'll explain. We had 30 entries. Santiago Ramos in free practice launched over those. Alexander Peroni, Monza style 2019 went airborne. The Jensen Motorsport team, they were furious. Not with their driver, not with the incident, but the fact that there are those sausage curbs still on the circuit. They wrote off a tub, and Santiago was taken to hospital. He suffered a fractured vertebrae because those curbs, which we know are ineffective for most things except braking a car, they have cost the Mexican driver the next month. It could have been a very nasty accident. And the Jensen Motorsport team, well, that's a one Tata chassis that is going in the rubbish bin. They're still here. They won't be here next week for the World Superbike Championship. It has been a big talking point here this weekend. Let's concentrate on the battle for the placings. Bierman still P1, Fornaroli and Montoya at the moment in P3. 1, 2, 3 going by. There is Kirill over the back of Victor Bernier. Nico Baptiste, car 35 for cramp competition. Lorenzo runs a little bit wide. Leonardo Bizzotto right behind him. The 2 Italians go wheel to wheel. BVM Racing and AKM Motorsport. Just behind them is Nikita Bedrin. Fine drive to P5 earlier this afternoon for the reigning WSK Supermaster Series kart racing champion, Nikita Bedrin. Car 15 for the Van Amersfoort Racing Team. Kirill Small on the back of Victor Bernier, who sets the fastest lap of the race. Just trying to pull away from the driver who took the first victory in the 2021 championship. Megotunev just behind. There's Fornaroli. Disregard Levente Devesh at the bottom of your screen. He's about to go a lap down. The blue flags will be waved for the most colourful car on the circuit as he heads into the sunset corner. Ollie Bierman being attacked from Fornaroli and Montoya as well. They go on to the back straight, accelerating 4th, 5th, 6th gears, and just over 220 kilometres an hour. Car 11 going through. The blue flag about to be waved for Lorenzo Petraeze. He will go a lap down as Sebastian Montoya feints to the right. Down into turn 13, cut all curves. Smell goes very deep under brakes, trying to take the place away from Bernier and join in the battle for the lead. 1/3 race distance, race 2, round 2. The Italian Formula 4 Championship here at Misano World Circuit. The G-Drive-backed Russian splits the two R-Race GP drivers from France. Baptiste in the background. Still Lorenzo Petraeze holds his own. He's lapping as quick as the leaders, but cannot hold them up. There's Nikita going through, Benz Valent. Go back to Kasper Stuka, good drive from him. Ahead of Eric Zuniga and Josh Dufek up into position 14 in car 13, and then Josh Dirksen. Maya, she's in 16th place. Now the sun starts to set here at Misano. The blue flags will wave for Lorenzo Petraeze. He needs to pull over and just let the leaders drive by, unless a safety car comes out in the next few corners. We race green for race 1 in its entirety earlier on today, as the 18 Van Amersfoort racing car, Sun Yuhan, comes back into pit lane. It looks as though the Chinese driver will retire. Ollie Bierman with a lap car in front of him. Fornaroli, the race 1 winner behind. And Sebastian Montoya, car 6, finished in position 6 with a great comeback drive, some brilliant passes. He's on the podium at the moment, behind the race 1 winner, behind Ollie Bierman, the pole sitter. And all 3 of them are behind the lap car of Lorenzo Petraeze. They complete lap 8. Now Lorenzo does the right thing, much to Oliver Bierman's relief. He checks his left side mirror down into Variante del Parco, the park chicane, turns 1, 2 and 3. Then the Rio curves, hooks in over the non-existent ripple strip, down into the Rio curves, turn 4 and 5. Bernier in the background just holding off Kirill Small for the moment. Bierman will be very relieved to have got through finally on Lorenzo Petraeze. So we go further back. Josh Dufek coming together with Eric Zuniga, the Mexican driver, just runs off the road, rejoins. Better performance from Josh Dufek, one of 3 Swiss drivers in the field. But it's the Englishman from Redditch in the UK, position 1. For the Dutch team, holds his own, does Ollie Bierman, championship contender for the 2021 series. As they go down the back straight now, the sun sets quite quickly here at Misano. We will race under the lights here tonight. And the other categories are racing in this Acci racing weekend, also featuring the Italian Touring Car Championship and GT Championship, as Kirill goes down the inside. The slightest mistake from Victor Bernier, and that's cost him. Kirill goes through and takes P4 away from Victor. Pressured the 2018 Junior World Champion into that slight error. Kirill now up into P4. Started the season as one of the favourites. Ollie Bierman, who raced a couple of times in 2020 in the series, most notably at Imola when he was in scintillating form. That was for the German team, US Racing, who took 2 dominant victories at the season opener at Paul Ricard. It was never their intention to complete the whole series. As Fornaroli, was he just throwing away a tear off the visor there? Raised the right hand. We're staying green for the moment. We told you about the sunset, and I'd suspect that's exactly what he was doing. Fornaroli just loses a little bit of time. Out wide. Tries to get the run on Ollie Bierman. The gap is officially 0.05 of a second. Kirill Small, the fastest driver on the circuit, 134.926, is catching Montoya. Fornaroli And the pulse into the race leader, Ollie Bierman, car 87 going through. Fornaroli, a brilliant victory in race 1 this afternoon. The car bottoms out on this circuit, which looks as flat as a pancake, but it is deceptive. Incredibly cambered, some of these corners. Kirill Small now behind the lap car of Levente de Vesh. There are those curves. How brutal are they? Petraeze on the back of Baptiste. Gets the run coming onto the straight as well. Behind them, Bizzotto and Nikita Bedren. Levente does the right thing as they go down into Variante del Parco. Baptiste driving as hard as he possibly can. Petraeze right behind him. There is Lorenzo, the former Card Republic driver, with AKM Motorsport, here with 2 cars, car 11, Levente, who has got plenty of television time in the first half of this race, and Lorenzo, who is in P8 in this 29 car field. Still Ollie Bierman in position 1. Down into turn 8, Quercia, named as such because there used to be an incredibly large oak tree on that corner, which was removed in years gone by for safety reasons. Quercia literally translates into the oak tree here at Misano World Circuit, which next year celebrates 50 years of operation. Next week hosts the World Superbike Championship, and of course, the somebody not MotoGP is back in 2021 in front of what you can bet will be full grandstands here at the centre. Spiritual home of motorcycle racing here in Italy, but as we alluded to in our introduction, hosted plenty of great car racing over the years, including a popular stop-off for the Italian F4 Championship, as Lorenzo tries to launch and make the move on Baptiste, but the Colombian holds his own. Opposite lock correction, big time from Petraeze. There's Bizzotto right behind, a big in the background in P10, also for Fun Motorsport Racing. Working the wheel incredibly aggressively is Lorenzo Petraeze. 2 sets of tyres from the outset of qualifying, the 2 qualifying sessions and the 3 30-minute races. Now the lap traffic starting to come into play once again. Levente de Vesh again does the right thing. And Lorenzo goes by. Still Bierman in P1. Fornaroli and Montoya. The gap stays the same. Half a second between the English driver and the Italian. Fun Motorsport Racing. Team Iron Links as Leonardo slides on the exit. And the Prema Power team in positions 3 and 4. Then RSGP 5 and 6. With Victor and Sammy, the fastest part of the circuit. Down into turns 13 and 14. Montoya, he'll have to do something quite soon because his teammate Kirill Small is catching him. The gap just over a second between Sebastian and Kirill, the 2 Prema Power teammates in 3 and 4. Ollie still leads the way. Fornaroli's thinking about the championship, an 8th, a 7th and a 4th at the season opener. A good run out of 37 cars, remember, that we did have in the south of France. But then the race win earlier today certainly puts him in contention for the 2021 championship. There's Baptiste, Petraeze behind. Bizzotto, Bedron, we go back to Benz Valent in P11. Semi Magotuniev. The crack outfit from France, RAce GP. In positions 5 and 6 with the French drivers. Down into Quercia. This is turn 8. Our screens don't do it justice, but it is incredibly banked. For those drivers that did elect to take the track walk, which has become something of a trend, more of a photo opportunity these days. As our mate Max says the other day, in the press conference from Baku, he hasn't done one for quite a few years because quite simply, well, he can't be, you know what he said. For those that did bother to go out and walk the circuit, the track is incredibly cambered in some of the corners. Also coming up to turns 13 and 14, of course it is. Get back to that in a moment as Sebastian goes down the inside. It looks like he's finally gone through and taken position 2 away from Fornaroli. Nice move by Montoya. goes up into second place. Let's see if he can catch the English driver. Pressured finally, Fornaroli. Not into a mistake, but just a running ever so wide. And now Fornaroli, he splits the two Prema Power Team drivers. We'll take a look at the replay. Put him under pressure right under the rear wing of the 72 Iron Lynx car. Off the circuit, just a slight correction from Sebastian, and takes him, the Colombian-American, now up into position 2. So that gives Bierman breathing space. The gap now 0.7 of a second. Let's see what Sebastian can do. Goes by the race 1 winner. There's Small in the background. He's actually reeled in the leaders from a long way back. Kirill Small didn't get the best start, but he's now recovered. He's in P4. There's Semi going through. Runs off the circuit as well, does the French driver in 56. Bierman, Montoya and Fornaroli. Just getting back to these corners, it does look deceptive. It looks as flat as a pancake, this circuit. But there is quite a degree of banking or camber on these circuits. Of course, it is better known for motorcycle racing, as we've alluded to. But if these drivers in these junior single-seaters can just hook in right there, you can see the bottom of the Tata chassis bottoming out. Trying to get the grip, get the run, and keep the momentum up. Bierman, the sun sets in his eyes. Goes through turn 15 to complete lap 14. Ollie Bierman, P1, Montoya 2, Fornaroli and Kirill Small. If they start to fight, we may well have a 6-car fight for the lead. 2/3 race distance, Sebastian takes a 1/10 of a second. Hooks in over the non-existent ripple strip. Bernier and Megatonev in 5 and 6. Correction from Victor Bernier on the exit. Saving his best 4 tyres for race 3 tomorrow. As Josh Dufek now sets the fastest lap of the race, a 1:34.566. The Swiss driver is in position 11. As you get a great view of the beautifully presented and quick Russian Kirill Small in car 7 in position 4. Montoya to Bierman, it's 6/10 of a second. Fornaroli stays behind Sebastian. There's Small in the background, will get the slipstream ever so slightly. Ollie Bierman stares at his right side mirror to see car 6 from the Prema Power Team. I won't say close in on the back of him, stays exactly the same distance. Ollie Bierman driving beautifully. Still picks the traditional racing line, does Oliver. Sebastian Montoya is too far back at the moment to make a move for position 1. Fornaroli, can he respond on the Sebastian in the dying stages of race 2 of the Italian Formula 4 Championship? Powered by Abarth, presented by WSK Promotion, together with the Automobile Club of Italy. Leonardo, car 72 for Team Iron Lynx. Better drive from Kirill Small. 3 accidents in the opening 4 races, I should say, of the championship. No mistake this time, he's in position 4, one of the pre-season favourites. And Leonardo Fornaroli, he's certainly thrown his hat into the ring for the title as well, as has Ollie Bierman. Kirill Small in P4. Of course, Tim Tramnitz taking 2 victories at the opening round of the season of Paul Ricard in France 3 weeks ago. Kirill Small with the first race victory of the season. Ollie Bierman, 2 pole positions here this weekend. Race 3 tomorrow. He will also start from grid 1. Started grid 1 in this race as well. And he's driving perfectly. Sebastian Montoya, this is where he's quick. Under brakes down into turns 13 and 14. This is where he passed Fornaroli. Hooks in and closes up ever so slightly, as Small does likewise on Fornaroli for the final position on the podium. They're about to start lap 17. We raced 20 laps in race 1 earlier today, so there is still time. Around about 3 laps to be precise. Small, P4. P4, car 7, 1 step off the podium. The RS GP drivers in 5 and 6, Baptiste still holding off Petraeze, Bizzotto and Bedren. The final position inside the top 10. Now Sebastian has closed right in on the back of Ollie Bierman. Saved his best for last. Sebastian Montoya, best finish a couple of times in 2020 of 5th place. Now looking for his maiden victory in the world of Formula 4 car racing. Lines up Ollie. Down into turn 8, he's right behind. Car 87 runs off the circuit. Do both of them. Bierman ran that little bit wide and Sebastian simply followed him off. Now Oliver goes defensive. Montoya will get the run for Neroli in the background. Has to defend from Kirill Small as well. This race has come alive as the sun sets here at Misano World Circuit. Marco Simoncelli. Again, Ollie Bierman stares at the right side mirror. Watch Sebastian down into turns 13 and 14. Small in P4, trying to capitalize. Montoya on the back of Bierman. Ollie Bierman praying for the checkered flag to come out. 4:44 plus 1 lap left on the clock. 1, 2, 3, 4 on your screen. Iron Links, Van Amersfoort Racing. And 2 cars from the reigning champions, the Prema Power team. The gap just 0.2 of a second. You can see it on your screen. Ollie stretches just a little bit down the straight. Fornaroli runs off the track. There's Kirill Small. Cannot afford another incident, the Russian, after coming together with Benz Valent in race 1 earlier today. There are the RSGP drivers in the background. Surely not a 6-car fight in the dying stages of the race. Coming together with Samir Ben was Leonardo Bizzotto. They were running just outside the top 10. In fact, Bizzotto was in P9. So that's a disappointment for the Swiss driver, Samir Ben. .333 plus 1 lap for Ollie Bierman has withstood the pressure for the moment. There's Montoya. This is the part of the circuit where he really closes up on the English driver. Down through turns 13 and 14, a tighter line. He fights the oversteer on the exit. Fornaroli is still right there as well, as is Kirill Small. They're about to complete lap 18, and we've stayed green since the start of the race. If race 1 is a guide, we expect there to be 2 more laps, possibly even 3. Bierman, Montoya, Fornaroli, Kirill Small. 1, 2, 3, 4. Down into Variante del Parco. Leonardo runs off the circuit, runs wide. Kirill will have seen that. Through the glare, through his visor, down through the Rio curves. There is Victor Bernier in car 55 in the background. He has actually now closed the gap. You can see visibly just over a second back to Victor Bernier. And Kirill Small, if they start to fight, Victor will be there as well. RSGP with their 2 young French chargers join the fight as well in the dying stages of race 2, round 2 of the Italian Formula 4 Championship. Breathing space now for Bierman. Comes onto the straight nicely that time. Watch his helmet just drift ever so slightly to the right of the cockpit. There it goes. Checks the mirrors. And he's got enough breathing space this time down into turns 13 and 14. Sebastian hooks in. The car bottoms out on these cambered corners here at Misano. There's Fornaroli. It's not over yet for the Italian. Controls the oversteer. And Bierman skips away. Lap 19, we expect there to be 2 more, possibly even 3. A quick pace here for race 2. Kirill Small, a step off the podium, fastest lap of the race. Victor Bernier, he's catching the leading group. He's just set a time. There he is on your screen. a 134.410. The RAce GP drivers in 5 and 6 trying to close in on the leaders. Here at Misano, round 2 of the championship. From here, of course, we go to Vallelunga, north of the eternal city of Rome, in 3 weeks' time. But of course, before that, we have a race 3 tomorrow in the dying stages of this race 2 on Saturday evening here in the north of Italy. Down the back straight once more. There is Victor in the background. Still, they're not making the move. And we do believe this is the penultimate lap of the race. So Ollie Beerman, he's done everything right since the outset. 5 cars for the Van Amersfoort racing team. San Johan did retire. Of course, the Prema Power team came with 4. They've got 2 remaining, and they're both inside the top 4. But it's looking good for Ollie Beerman, as he's about to come onto the straight, we believe, to get the last lap board this time around. He's done everything right. There it is indeed to the right of your screen. The English driver, 1 lap away from victory here in Italy. Sebastian Montoya, this will be his best result in the series. It is a fine drive into P2, but he wants P1. Fornaroli marks himself as a championship contender in 2021 as well. After a good, strong run, comfortably inside the top 10 at the opening round of the championship at Paul Ricard in France. A victory earlier on today, and he's looking at another podium for Team Iron Lynx. Down into turn 8 for the final time. Ollie Beerman turns left, tries to keep it as straight as possible for the run down into Sunset Tramonto corner. Montoya too far back, you would think, unless he gets one almighty run onto the straight. He goes, he tries, as Ollie Beerman goes defensive. Will that cost him? The slipstream, it does have some effect in these junior single-seater racing cars. There's Fornaroli in the background. Montoya driving as hard as he possibly can. Beerman will go defensive. Sebastian closes in the final opportunity. It's not over yet. Car 6 bottoms out as Montoya skates under brakes. One almighty send coming up if he gets close enough. Beerman has driven superbly, almost runs off the road. The final corner, the checkered flag is about to wave. Ollie Beerman, for the reigning drivers' champions, takes the victory here at Misano. Get that right, of course, they won it in 2019. There is the Dutch team. They take the win. Ollie Beerman from Montoya and Fornaroli home in 3rd place. Kirill Smal home in 4th. Bernier and Megatunev. Bizzotto, Baptiste, Josh Dufek, who said fastest lap after fastest lap in the dying stages. There's Marcus Amand about to come home, just behind Piotr Wisnicki. Ollie Beerman takes his victory, the first of 2021. This happened on the very final lap of the race. Lorenzo Petraeze with one almighty send on Nico Baptiste on the grass, off the circuit, into the back of the Colombian, almost within sight of the checkered flag. Baptiste does cross the line in P8, and Petraeze just behind in P10. Ollie Beerman, huge congratulations to the Van Amersfoort racing driver from England. That's the Turkish flag, that is incorrect. He is from the Queen's England. Driving for the Dutch team. Takes the victory here in the Italian Championship. Car 87, Ollie Beerman from England is about to come into pit lane as a race winner, and he is certainly in contention for the 2021 championship. Just as he crossed the line, I did get ahead of myself. Of course, Van Amersfoort Racing ahead of myself, behind. So we check the results for you. They took the driver's title with Dennis. That was in 2019. It does seem like yesterday. Beerman with the victory from the Queen's England, from the Colombian American Sebastian Montoya, and Fornaroli, a race win earlier today, and another podium here for Team Iron Links. Good drive from Kirill Small. He needed that. Victor Bernier, Semi Megotunif, Bizzotto, Baptiste, Josh Dufek into P9, and Lorenzo home in 10th place. Nikita Bedrin, Ben Svelin, Eric Zuniga. Good drive from the Mexican, Kasper Stuka. Josh Dirks, and a former winner in this series, down in 15th. Jonas Reed, 4th in race 1, now 16th, ahead of Francesco Braschi, Wisniewski, Marcus Amand.
Oh, yes, mate.
And of course, with that penalty, Aaron Retshepi finishes outside the top 20. Here is the championship as it stands. So Ollie Bierman now takes over the series lead from Tim Tramnitz, who's taking a bye from this round. Fornaroli 3rd in the series, and there is Kirill in P4 just ahead of Sebastian Montoya. There is the race winner for the Fun Amersfoort Racing Team, Ollie Bierman. We'll try and get a quick word with Ollie in just a moment. Fun Amersfoort Racing taking the championship in 2019. It was not last year, with Dennis Hauger. And Ollie trying to take the title back to Amsterdam in 2021 as well. 3rd place after the race win earlier today, Leonardo Fornaroli, car 72. For Team Iron Link, Sebastian Montoya, car 6, 2nd place, his best result in the series. And the race winner, we're about to hear from him now. Ollie Bierman takes victory in race 2 here at Misano. Let's go down to the race winner, Ollie Bierman, who's with Antonio.
Oliver, an amazing flag-to-flag win for you. What's the feeling?
Yeah, really happy to finally get the win. It's been a long time coming, but yeah, big thanks to the guys for the hard work, and yeah, it's finally paid off.
Thank you.
We'll take a look at the highlights of race 2. A clean start, Ollie Bierman from pole. And from there, he would not be headed for the entire half-hour race, although he was pressured throughout the duration of this 20-lap race. We stay green for its entirety. Honda, after a podium earlier this morning, this was before the opening lap was completed. Into the gravel, into the wall, and Honda was out. Conrad Larsen coming together with Sun Yuhan, the Dane and the Chinese driver, making contact. They both retired as well. Eric Zuniga, the Mexican, running off the circuit. Sebastian Montoya, one of the few moves in the race that we actually did see. A pleasant change for once, a fine move to take 2nd away from Leonardo Fornaroli. This was not so fine. Jensen Motorsport team driver, Samir Ben going around on the final lap of the race. Petraeze and Nico Baptiste coming together. It cost Petraeze 2 places. Baptiste home in 8th, but Ollie Bierman from pole position takes the victory in race 2, round 2 of the Italian F4 Championship. Montoya 2nd, his best result in the series. And Fornaroli, there is Leonardo after his victory earlier on today, 3rd here. Under a setting sun in the north of Italy, Sebastian Montoya in fine form. Can he take the title in 2021? He's looking good. He's in position 5 in the series. Ollie Bierman is in position 1, stands on the top step of the podium, taking victory in race 2 here at Misano.
Accogliamo con un applauso questo podio.
From the Queen's England, Oliver Bierman takes victory in race 2 and is now the new championship leader. Thanks for watching. We'll be back here tomorrow to conclude the weekend here at Misano. Race 3 to get underway at 25 minutes past midday. We hope you've enjoyed race 2 from Misano. Thank you for watching. We'll see you for the final race of the weekend here at Misano just after midday from northern Italy. We'll see you then.